All right, let's get going here. See if anybody's showing up. I'm working on a project, so I figured I'd have some stuff up here for you guys to look at while we kind of work through that. Get some log stuff up there. Security and connectivity up there. Maybe some web server stuff. That'll all be useful. Okay, Ranger's doing good downstairs. And I'll be taking some notes over here kind of as I go. But also I'm just going to be kind of working on some stuff. I've got some tasks that I kind of want to keep working on. And we'll get that. Traffic King, how's it going? Matt Harfin. Main reason that I stream, for you guys that don't know, is we have a Discord. That's a little early, so maybe people will miss this. But we've got, Discord. And that Discord is free for anybody, and we're almost to 3,000 people in there. So we're just shy of 3,000. And it's weird. It's like when I'm not on YouTube or whatever, it's like YouTube just forgets about me. But then when I stream, we get like a bunch of people in there. So I figure I'll hop on and talk a little bit while I work through some other stuff. Let me link this over for you guys on the YouTube side. So you guys are welcome to come hang out down there in the Discord. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. So it's kind of good. Let's go back here real quick. Let's go watch this. This is the main thing that I care about. Actually, I have a few devices I need to add now. So I have stuff to do in the home lab as well that I'll probably be working on top of this other stuff. I have a new idea for the projects, for things to do in the home lab. We might be doing some stuff with GNS, and mainly because we have some additional functionality that I didn't know that we had, or that we could get out of my internet for one thing. And I think we could do some pretty good stuff with that. And then I found that, I'll give you guys this link. This is a pretty cool little free OS images. And I found out today, I was just working on a college class a little while ago. And like, I've known what GNS was for a long time, right? Like GNS software, you can just basically build a little network. If you've never seen GNS 3, it's completely free. But what it allows you to do, and what I've always used it for, was this. You would just go in and you would build like a device, and then you would build your Cisco switches and routers, and you could set up your spanning tree protocol. You could do all these things with these devices that were around, right? And I thought that was really cool. I'm like, this is cool. This is how we teach our students. If you don't have Cisco Packet Tracer, this is pretty good. But then I just found out tonight, I was playing around in there. You can have different virtual machines on there that are actual VMDK images. It'll run real virtual machines in there. So you could drop somebody in a clean environment, brand new, have Kali, have them scan the environment. You could have it be an Ubuntu server, and you can harden it. There's all kinds of things that you can do, and then you just blow away the environment and rebuild it. And I was like, that kind of has some pretty good... You guys don't have sound? My sound should be working. I see my Yeti microphone working. I see my stuff down there. You guys aren't getting sound? Is anybody else not getting sound? That would be unfortunate. I mean, I should have sound going. Okay. Some of you guys are hearing me just fine. Okay. Okay, good. Well then, yeah, I apologize. Apparently sound is good. Doom, Haim, you might just have to reset your terminal, or just refresh your page. All right, over on YouTube, you guys are hearing me, so good. All right, so Discord, again, Discord's there for you guys to do what you need. Now, what the heck's happening here? System's all trying to reload itself. Okay. Yeah, because I can see my sound mixer here. I can see that my microphone's working, so off YouTube, Twitch. Oh, okay, it makes sense to do. Yeah. Sometimes if I have too many tabs open, things break too, so. All right, so what are we doing right now? We're sitting in the lab. I'm working on stuff. I'm kind of thinking about some stuff. If you guys have never seen GNS 3, let me link this to you guys. This is a good tool for, man, there's so many labs out there. Like, let's say you just wanted to, you did some networking maybe in your earlier years and you wanted to get back to it. This is a really good tool for getting you into doing that stuff again, right? And there's a whole bunch of free stuff and free tools. And then they have different appliances. Look, they have all these different devices that are provided by vendors, right? Some of them. And then they have labs where people have set everything up for you, and you can go in there and run the labs and see how well you like them and that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's a good tool, right? But I was just finding out today they have a tremendous amount of these things that are already set up for full virtual machines to work in there. So that's really actually cool. So thanks for the follow. This is exactly me. I've been out of the game for 3 years. Started with Cisco Packet Tracer. Yeah. I started doing Cisco I started studying Cisco 24 years ago, but I got my CCNA 22 years ago. And I got out of networking, though. I don't really love it. But look, you could put Kali Linux, drop it in there, and go start scanning different devices in a network setting. And I think that's pretty useful. So anyways, that's a free tool that's out there for you guys to play with. And I may be building that into our lab for us to be able to get access in there. So yeah, Runamucker, you could definitely see logs off of those. In fact, the lab I had the students doing tonight at the college, right, was they were feeding Cisco devices syslog packets out to a syslog server on a Windows machine. So I don't even know the name of that syslog server. It's like some free syslog server that you can turn on. If I can donate Cisco modeling lab to Prolog, is there a way to integrate it with the labs? What type of thing would it be, Traffic King? Would it be like a bunch of Cisco devices? Because I probably wouldn't want to set those up. But we can set up a whole bunch of GNS stuff. We can set a bunch of stuff up in there. Matt Harfen, nice. EVNG or PNet Lab. Let's see what a PNet Lab is. Yeah, there you go. Now, here's the thing. Is this a free tool, or is it an open source tool, or is it just a free tool that you can use for free? So you have to register, at least to the device. Nice. Yeah, look, anything that gets you guys into doing this stuff in your home labs, in our labs, whatever it is that gets you guys doing this stuff, that's what I think is super important. Get you guys doing that. So that looks like a good tool. I don't think you guys mind dropping that in our networking. I'll drop it in our networking. Hold on. Oh, I was gonna I had some stuff to show you guys in here too. So, networking topics. So earlier today in the AI ML, I just wanted to show you guys something that kind of took over. So I'm not even gonna try to describe it. I'm just gonna send it to you guys. I'm just gonna show it to you guys. So what was happening was, fisherman posts this, heard someone was running Windows around here, right? And then it started the fight off with, muscular Windows guy. And then the Linux guy got bigger. So then the Windows guy, and I asked him if his prompt was just more muscles and more veins or whatever, but then Kano couldn't stop, and the guy kept getting bigger and bigger until he turned into this guy, which looks like something off of One Punch Man, right? And then we're ready to fight off the Windows juice heads, and then. So these guys are generating all these Chad whatever things. So anyways, I thought that was hilarious. But that went on today in our Discord. So Tiny Legs, yeah. All right, so that's kind of my thoughts on working on the home lab a little bit. If you guys need access to the labs or anything like that, you can go down in Discord and find a lot of that stuff. Look, Ranger's limping around, man. Ranger's old. He's getting real old. And then I got to take care of him for the next 11 days. I mean, I'd go down and feed him all the time anyways, but I mean, I have to go take care of him and kind of check on him and stuff while the wife's away. All right. So let's get this stuff out of the way. There was one other thing somebody had asked about. So this was about deploying Prometheus cluster. So if you guys had Prometheus stuff going on and you wanted to build some stuff, we have kind of a quick setup in here. If you go look in the projects, I think it is. I think it's in the projects folder. And actually, it may be in the... No, I think it's in the presentations folder. Where we were in here talking about... maybe it wasn't in here. I never remember where anything is anymore. So that's why you just search it, right? You can search pretty well. I think right here we have... Yeah, here's all the PCA stuff. So if you guys want to get into Prometheus and you want to go study for that, there is a bunch of options for you to build... If you want to do it in all server build, like you want to build all the stuff out and have your own servers. If you want to do it in a Docker build here. Now, those are both free on Killer Coda. Don't cost you anything. And then there's a home lab build out, which is that one that I had just linked. And this is a guy who used Docker. I want to say that tool is actually... Hold on, let's go look. He uses Docker... Caddy, hold on. Where's the actual up? Anyways, he shows you how to set it all up here. And it's a pretty good little setup. But what's he using? Yeah, he's using Docker Compose. That's what it is, Docker Compose. And I'll open it up, right? So there you go. Yep. And then what else? What else do we have around here? That's kind of what I've been working on. Today I've got a lot of documentation for work that I'm working on, and I can't show you guys that stuff, unfortunately. But what I can do is pull some stuff out while we're talking here from my other presentation. So I have a presentation over here from Prometheus, and some of the things with Prometheus are what would we want to show? I don't need any of this stuff for this environment that I'm building out. I may grab this and put this in my presentation. So let me put this up here and put it here. And then I need to, sorry guys, I'm trying to paste something over here. It looks almost like it's coming in as a picture, which I do not want. Real quick. Alright, well, I'll fuck with that later, I guess. Nightbot says some stuff. Alright, yeah, Nightbot tells you guys where everything's kind of going, tells you guys how to get into the Discord if you guys want to. Let me try this again. Actually, before I copy this over, just because of, whoops. Oh, why the hell that keeps happening like that? Let's grab this. And just for a second, let's turn this dark. And the same thing with this. Let's turn it dark for a second. We'll grab both of them. Alright, give me 1 second here. I gotta throw this in my other presentation real quick. Well, that saves me a little bit of trouble. Okay, so over here. undo that and move them back to the normal thing. All right, so what I'm doing is I'm grabbing a bunch of stuff that is, I think, important to Prometheus. In fact, you know what? I'm going to grab... I will grab this. Whoops. What's this whole page look like here? This dark. Just for a second. Sorry guys, I gotta figure out how to get this thing working right. Oh, you know what? I didn't want all of that. I might just want this. So, what I'm trying to do is work on pulling information out of here and go put it in another presentation that I'm doing. But I only want things that are kind of relevant. Some of the stuff is not super relevant to the topics, so I probably won't be using all of it. Selecting data is pretty important. But I'll make them do some labs on that, so that'll be fine. Aggregating over time, that stuff's all fine. Mainly what I'm going to have them doing, go down here for, don't need them to do any of that. Dashboarding basics might be good to show. Because in my presentation, doing monitoring, all right, well, I'll go play with that stuff in a little bit. Let's get back to, I'm gonna do some system stuff for a little while. That should be fun for everybody. So let's go grab, we'll throw this over here, and I'll ask you guys over on the Twitch side, does anybody have any type of, anybody have any labs they want to work on? Let's see, let's start a little poll here. What do you guys want to work on? Say new poll. What labs? Linux, security, Kubernetes, Ansible. Give you guys 5 minutes. You guys can even throw your points at it if you want. Especially since I made it, there's less things to use your points on, so you guys should be... Oh, hold on. I gotta have my Google account work here. Fishman, what are you saying? What is that? Fishman, I don't know what that is, but... Oh my gosh. Slightly awkward. Okay. I hope you don't mind me asking here, but for the course project, are we able to set it up on your home? Yeah, absolutely, Robodom. Absolutely. You can do that. You guys want to do some Ansible? I'm seeing Ansible. I got some Ansible labs here for you guys. We haven't done Ansible in a while. We could start that one all the way over. Yeah. Yeah, Rossberger's pretty good. Rossberger hangs out sometimes. He's sometimes in here when he's done streaming. I didn't see him streaming today, though. I think he might take Thursdays off. I'm not 100% sure. I'm glad that that thing showed that it was a belly button. I wasn't exactly sure what we were looking at there. So, all right, we got to vote for Ansible, but everybody else, you guys get to actually vote on the Twitch side. Looks like one person voted for Ansible there too. So we got 2 for Ansible right now. It's kind of a weighted voting because one other person over there. Yeah, Fisherman. Did you know that they used to block a bunch of them? Yeah, Saitao is asking you for help, Fisherman. Also, on one of Fisherman's, I had to take it all the way down to the bottom, and I couldn't find where he had the GitHub for it, so I had to figure it out by doing something that I did not think was right, because I had it right like 10 times, I thought, but it was on the limits. I got it to work, but I just kind of thought that was a little rough. So we got Linux, we got Ansible, and we got another Ansible. No, you got to vote. Oh, we did. Okay, you don't have to vote on the YouTube side, so fair enough. So we got 3 for Ansible now. So, how am I generating these captions? I can't tell you. It's a trade secret. Who wants to tell them? I'm just kidding. I'll tell you all you want. Anybody want to tell them how I generate the captions down there? I think Fisherman should tell them. That is just PowerPoint in the background. Yeah, I type them manually. It's PowerPoint in the background. PowerPoint, if you're in PowerPoint, right, and you have, whatever present, you got to be in presentation mode. When you click presentation mode, it'll start subtitles for you. Yep, there you go. It'll start subtitles for you, and it will not swear. Yeah, it won't let me swear. So that's just sitting in the background, and basically I just jam up all my windows above it, so all my windows don't cover it. That's all it is. Yeah, it's one of my favorite things about PowerPoint. I'll just use PowerPoint over off to the side, and yep. Let me get this stuff out of the way because we already know this. We found all this stuff already. So let's do some Ansible. Well, no, I'll let the lab finish. The poll finish. It looks like Linux, Kubernetes, Ansible all have 1 vote on the Twitch side, but 2 people threw it on over on the YouTube side, so that made it 3. So Ansible has the most. Now it's got 4. Ansible's got the most by far. Also, you guys can use channel points to vote too. And WookieWo, hopefully this stuff's useful to you. We're just, we do a lot of Linux around here. Sometimes we also mess around with all kinds of other stuff. I was telling the guys today, like, I had somebody complaining on YouTube. He's like, he found an old video of mine that was live. We're live, right? Like, we're dicking around right here live. If I want to put something out that's like a real video, I will say in the video, and I will go make a... Anyways, this guy found some video from like 2 months ago and then started complaining. He's like, this is an absolute beginner stuff, bro. No, what did he do? He said, Bub, hey, Bub, some advice. I'm like, yeah, thanks, buddy. So anyways, he's like, here's your free engagement. I'm like, oh, yeah, thanks for that, man. Hopefully you can find something simple enough for you. And then he came back and he goes, oh, yeah, I did, and it wasn't so clickbaity. And I'm like, yes, we wait with bated breath. Bated breath for the contribution you're going to give to the engineering world. Yeah, thanks for that, man. Yeah, the subs are cool, especially the Prime subs because you can use them anywhere. But yeah, let's do a little bit of Ansible. I think that's what the people are going to vote for. Yeah, everybody's put points in Ansible, so I don't think that's going anywhere. It looks like Ansible's going to win. Yeah, only he said Bud, but Bud and Bub together are both fight on site, right? Like the old Simpsons episode. Yeah, Ansible won. All right, so there's that old Simpsons episode where he goes, "You want to fight?" And he's like, "Them's fighting words," and then they start fighting over the Duff. It's the Fudd beer instead of Duff beer. Yeah, I'm a good doctor teacher. Yeah, I'm working on my doctorate. Fun fact, the wife leaves tomorrow for 10 days. She's going with her friend Jen back east, and they're going to hit up like Boston and all these other places. And I'm going to stay here and work on my doctorate and a bunch of training stuff. I'm probably going to be doing a bunch of teaching and stuff on here. But I've got my residency right at the start of December. So the residency is like a week out of each year where you go and you focus. It's like an intensive. And Fisherman, you're going to be in Boston this weekend? Nice. Yeah, that's where the wife's going to be. She's going to be wandering around. I told her watch out for the guys on bikes because those people on bikes almost ran into me, and I'm a pretty solid guy, you know. I'm approximately 6 feet tall. I'm actually just an inch short of 6 feet, but I don't care. And yeah, I'm not the guy that you'd want to run into on a bike. I don't think for the most part. But anyways, let's do the labs. We're gonna go to. I'm gonna link this for you guys. I won't pin them, but I will link them. 512. Yeah, I'm 513. No, I'm 5'11". And we'll go here, and I'm going to make this a little bigger for you guys. Again, these labs are free. I don't get anything for them. Even if I did, which I don't, they're free for you guys, so that's pretty cool. And let's do a little bit of Ansible here. So if you've absolutely never touched Ansible, this is going to be the most basic way I can think to start it. Even a guy on YouTube couldn't complain that this was too hard for him, right? You do have to understand how to get in a Linux shell, though, so to be fair. All right, so it says, welcome to Prolog Ansible. And it says, your team has decided they need a tool that they can use to control and operate the many servers you have in the environment. That's the reason most of us use Ansible. Most of us got into it because we got tired of building our own control loops with Bash to hit a bunch of servers or to patch a bunch of servers. And controlling loops through Bash is fine. It's just we can have some scaffolding around those loops, which is what Ansible is going to provide, and give us a lot more control over what's happening. How do yeah. How do we open the World Wide Web? Fair enough. You've been tasked with evaluating Ansible. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go evaluate Ansible and see how it works. So we're going to install Ansible and put the version output in a file called root version. So we're going to install Ansible on a Ubuntu box. In other labs of mine, you will do it on like Rocky 9.3 and those kind of things. But for this here, we've got Ansible, or we've got an Ubuntu 20.04. We got into this shell for free, and we got into it through a browser, so that's pretty cool. I've gotten tired of control loops with YAML. Fair enough. So over here, we're going to just say apt-y install Ansible. So apt used to be, well, apt is still the package manager. You used to say apt-get, but now it's just apt, and it's going to install Ansible for us. As soon as that gets done resolving all the Python dependencies, then we're going to go on to the next part. I might say over here, install Ansible. These are my notes. I constantly tell you guys, make sure you have some kind of note-taking tool, and that's apt-y install Ansible, or dnf-y install Ansible if you're on a Red Hat type variant. DNF comes after yum, and I don't know what DNF stands for. It's probably something. I know what yum stands for, Yellow Dog Update Manager, right? Which was one of my favorite versions early Linux. There used to be, back when I started Linux in the early 2000s, there was a website out there called linuxdistros.org, and you could go and get any of the updated current distros with a SHA sum for it, and then you could download them from mirrors all over the world, and it was kind of a cool little place. All right, so we've got that. Let's say, and again, the way my labs work are, if you've never done something before, you just go click on it over here, and it does it for you. So it says Ansible is 2.96. That's the current version that's still installed in a Ubuntu box. And then I'm going to take that output and throw it to a file. So now that output's in a file. If I were to cat that file, I would see that output right there. Boom. And there it is. If I hit check, the lab will tell me good. Doesn't matter how you install Ansible. I've also seen instructions to install it via Python pip. Yeah, it does, Mr. Muddy Pants. You'll get different paths for certain things. Like if you use Python pip, it may only be locked down to that version or that user. So things may be installed locally. And you just have to look at the documentation for that. So you just have to run like an Ansible version and maybe like a Ansible doc and like read about where it puts things by default. When you install it like this, most everything is down in Etsy Ansible. But I don't know that that's always true when you use pip. And again, I think if you're pip and you're not the root user, I'm pretty sure it just installs it for just your user, because that's the only thing you have permissions for. And it's almost like doing like a virtual environment at that point. By the way, Ansible does support Python virtual environments because, well, Ansible is all Python under the hood, right? So when you go into running Tower later on, when you guys get into maybe you start using Ansible a lot and you start to really build up some skills around it, you're going to go in and you can build your own virtual environments. And you might say, well, why would I build a virtual environment for just some of my playbooks and not other ones? Well, because maybe you want to keep your playbooks from being too bulky, and maybe one of your playbooks interfaces with like Big Five. Big Five is one of the ones, or the F5 networks, whatever the hell that is, the networking software. I think they're called Big Five or F5 networks. I always forget what it is. But anyways, when you want to go hit those networks, you use certain modules that you can download in Ansible and only load them for those playbooks and those runs and stuff. So I would just tell you, like, we're doing the most basic stuff here, but then you can go dig in and spin off all kinds of other ways later. I've only used some of those things as I've had to use them. I don't like sit around and read all the manuals. Like I told you guys, like if I go out and I start it, my Ansible runs, I just go about my day. I really only dig in on the pieces where there's problems. And the longer you do it, the more you troubleshoot those kind of things. So I have some experience with that, but I couldn't tell you all the virtual environments and all that kind of stuff. Typically, I just, crack into those when I need to. So this says, we got Ansible, but there's an Ansible doc. Actually, if you wanted to, you could type Ansible, hit tab, and hit dash a few times. These are all the things that were just installed by Ansible being installed on your system. Ansible doc, Ansible Galaxy, Ansible Playbook. You can just have Ansible, right? Ansible by itself. But let's try Ansible doc and see about how many modules there are. So we'll say Ansible doc -- help. It'll give us some information about how to use that command. And it says that if we want to, we can look at different callbacks and all that kind of stuff. But I want to use -S to get a playbook snippet for a specified plugin. Plugins and modules are kind of used interchangeably, but you'll find that these snippets here will be against modules that exist. All right, so let's look at one. Let's say Ansible. Oh, we'll do that here in a second. Ansible doc -L. And if you type that, it's just going to give you a bunch of stuff to the screen. And look at all these ones that come by default. Hey, Enzo Bear, how's it going? We were just playing around and looking at Ansible. People wanted to see Ansible, so we're doing Ansible. Now I did a little bit of a Linuxy thing there. For people that aren't big in Linux yet or want to, maybe you're just playing around with it, but you want to get better. If you do what I just did, Ansible doc, instead of coming to the screen and being in a kind of interactive mode like it is, we caught all the output with that pipe. And instead of sending it to the screen, we sent it to a word count. Word count can count spaces and characters and all these things, but we told it to count the lines. And the lines had 3,387 total lines. So there are approximately that many. And we're going to hit this little button here so that we throw that into a file. And if we were to cat root modules, we would get the output. We get the redirected output of the word count -L, which is 3387, and it should be in that file now. So now what will happen is when we go to do our check at the end of this portion of the lab, it'll be able to move forward because we have the right value in there. All right. Now I say go read the documentation on the setup module. So what the heck's a setup module? Setup module is a way for Ansible to read from a tool called Factor all these facts about a server. So let's hit Ansible doc with setup. It looks like once we do that, we can come over here and scroll up and down in an interactive fashion, or we can hit spacebar to go page by page, or we can press up and down. So that's good. And I'm going to hit Q to get out of there. And I'm going to go look at the copy module the same way. And I can see that there's a bunch of information over here. Whoops. For how copy works. Most specifically, I need to have a destination when I copy something. And I should have a source down here. Right here, source. But you'll notice that source is not required. And I'll show you why here in a second. But if you go to page up, there's content. You can use content instead of source when you want to write something out. So let me show you guys an example of that real quick. In my home lab, so you guys have been around in my home lab before, right? And you guys have seen me crawl around out in here. And, oops, come on, what's going on here? Clear this, cd, root, root streaming. And then in here, this is when we go to push like a node exporter to all my nodes. And then we cd down into to roles, node exporter, tasks. And here in this main.yaml, when I want to copy things over, I can copy a file like this from a source, right? Yeah, sorry guys, my screen is taking on a mind of its own. I can copy from here to there in a normal source destination pattern. That's a common pattern for everybody, right? But I can also do this other thing, and this is one of these things that's like, when you learn how to do this, it kind of it almost like it hits different. Look at this. I wanted to copy something to this one machine, which is my Prometheus node. So I'm writing out Prometheus configs, and I'm sending them to each of the items in the loop as I run through this. And each time I'm dropping different content out of the variables that are inside of Ansible here. So host vars item. So like if this was, let's say P01 jump 01, it would be host vars P01 jump 01. I want his IP address, and then port 9100. He's an infra node, and his job is node. So those are labels that'll get pulled out of Prometheus later. Well, what's happening here is this is a generation of a file from a template, but the template is inside of the copy module right here. We could also do this with Jinja templates, but now I have to have two separate files. It's one of those things where, how do you want to do it? Do you want to do it quick and dirty? Also, this right here, if anybody's familiar with JSON, this is a JSON format right here. It's the full label, or it's the full no, what the hell's it called? It's not a library. It's it's a full list. So here's the list, and then here is a key value pair for targets, and then targets is another sub list, and then it's host vars and the port number, right? Yeah, host vars and the port number. That's all a value inside of there, and so it's targets and that, and then labels with team infra and job node. Right? Yeah, it's a dictionary. That's what they're called. Yeah. I always think of them as lists, but they're dictionaries. Yeah, because that's the only thing JSON is key value pairs and dictionaries, or lists. I know there's some differences between lists and dictionaries, but I don't code enough to really know them. Right? I just know what JSON kind of looks like, and then I know I can feed it into JQ if it doesn't work. That's about it for me, right? But my point is, when I did this, right, and me and Michael Pessa originally wrote this, so I think he might have helped me write this, but it's not hard to do. It's not hard to emulate. And when this gets pushed out to the server, it looks like this, right? So jump over to Prometheus, and on Prometheus, that's what it looks like. So any one of those nodes, like hostbox, is that value right there. That's what was generated by this. It's just a template. And instead of being these values, it now gets the actual value. In this case, 192.168.11.200, which is the correct one. So that Prometheus playbook that I showed you guys right here, all this does is push node exporter to all the nodes and turn it on. So every node gets Prometheus turned on, or a node exporter turned on, so that it squeezes up all the information out port 9100 like it's supposed to with node exporter. And then we come down here and make sure that Prometheus is set up right with that nodes directory. And then we drop, actually, I don't even drop it into the nodes directory, so it doesn't really matter. I just drop in that Prometheus directory. You can do this different ways. There's a lot of different ways to do this. But the point is, I generate the file back on that node for each of the nodes that I deployed node exporter to. And if any of you are like, oh, that sounds really interesting, I need that for my 1,000 nodes at work or whatever, I have this all up in our Discord. We've got an Ansible section right here. Look, I always show you guys stuff so nobody says I'm lying to them. possible that I'm lying to you, but I'm not lying to you about this. And if you go up, you see all kinds of code guys have written and stuff. And you guys are able to use any of it, right? I tell you guys, if you jump into our Discord and you run away like a cartoon villain with all our stuff in your backpack, good. Good. I hope it works for you. I'd prefer you guys stay around and hang out, and you can still use the stuff however you like. But I guarantee it's right up here because I used it just a while ago. There's some API stuff, so if you want to hit APIs with Ansible. One of our guys was writing a playbook for some sandboxing. Anyways, there's a lot of stuff in here. We were talking about how we install packages and stuff here. Yeah, right. Oh, is that an actual, like, villain? Hold on. I need to see that on the hype road. I like it. That was my sudoers check. This was a sudoers fix thing that I was doing for work a while back. I always write stuff out here, guys, and then I bring it into work when I'm done. That was for a contract job I was doing for a company. It'd probably be faster if I just searched for Prometheus in here, but it is right. It's not too far back because I know I did it just a little while ago on here. Network config. Somebody was doing networking. One of us was just pushing files and looping over things. That was a stamp of a time. Anyways, there's a lot of stuff in here, right? We have years and years of people dumping stuff in here. Here it is right here. So it was on the 31st of January last year, if anybody wants it. There you go. That's the exact same thing I just showed you guys right here. And I was probably showing it on stream back then. You could grab all of this. The only thing that'll look weird for this is you'll go, wait a minute, Scott, that's just like a task list. That's not all the header information. And that's because of this. I'll show you guys why. Because this is an inheritable role. So let's go up, up, and up one more. And then we'll look at Node Exporter. And Node Exporter is the actual playbook that's running. And it calls an environment YAML file that I have in here. And then it inherits the role of Node Exporter and does all that Node Exporter stuff. So if you look at this and you go, Scott, that's not a full playbook. You're right. It's not. It's an inherited role from a playbook. And we're going to get to that a lot later. I've gone kind of far afield. I apologize. I was showing you guys all this simple stuff. Let's get out of there. Hit check. And it'll say, look at you learning Ansible. You installed Ansible on the machine. I kind of went off onto a bunch of other things. But if we come back over here and just stick to what we've kind of learned so far, we've installed Ansible. So install Ansible was that, and then check some things out. And we had Ansible doc -- help. We had man Ansible, that would work. We had Ansible doc, and then the name of some item, right? And that could be something like Ansible doc setup or something like that. So we did those things, and installing Ansible was its own lab. So we'll grab that, and we'll say there was our lab, and these were the things that we did in that lab, right? So the next lab, I'm going to back out of here. I'll give you guys another lab here in a second. The next lab is going to have us build out a host file and understand how host files work. Now this is not something, so Ansible host file. This is not something that you're going to learn all in one sitting, unless you're just one of those brilliant people that pick everything up like this. This one takes a little bit, but it's important to be good at building a little host file. So I'm going to link this for a while. All right, there we go. Also, guys, by the way, we've got a Linux Systems Admin course. It's free. We're starting week 5 this week. We have had a tremendous amount of people drop off, but you could still catch up. So if you wanted to do it, or if you're like, oh man, you know, I'm just sitting around looking for work, or I'm sitting around tired of kind of just, I don't know, slicing bagels or doing whatever you do, like, you can do Linux stuff. You just got to start doing it, right? So that's what the group is. We're not charging anything for it. We're doing one set of lessons a week, and then you guys are going through. Yeah, we're already in week 5. We had a guest speaker last week, right? He came in and talked to you guys. He talks on here a lot, Fisherman. He's up on Twitch. He was streaming today on Twitch, so you guys can see Fisherman if you want. I think if Robodom's around, he can give a shout out maybe, but Fisherman's around. If you're in our Discord, you'll see when he goes live and stuff, so that's good. But let's keep going. Let's build some Ansible, and as you're doing this, I try to always emphasize this by doing my own notes, but I wrote the labs. I know the stuff over on the right of the screen. I want you guys to take your own notes. Take notes and it's one of these things. There's an old saying, you know, I see, I forget, I hear, I remember, I hear, I forget, I see, I remember, I do, I understand. It doesn't really matter because you forget the first fucking two either way. But it's I hear, I forget, I see, I remember, I do, I understand. And I really want you guys, if you can, get in a command line and do this with me. And if you can't get in a command line, do it with me. At least take the notes down and do the notes later. I'm just walking you through and doing the notes right now, but we also have a book on it, right? I don't push the book a whole bunch, but it's on LeanPub, and you just get a deeper like set of questions around these to go kind of journal and look at, right? But anyways, let's go into this. Your team has decided they need a tool that they can use to control and operate the many servers in your environment. There we go. We know we need that. You have been tasked with evaluating Ansible. We installed it already, and if we do Ansible on this system, we've got it installed. So there we go. So I've got that. Duke Bears with the Prime. Thank you for that. I appreciate that, man. You guys keep me motivated with stuff like that. But we're going to say, okay, so now I've got Ansible on this machine. Cool. And I said, I know that, and if you don't know this, just trust me for a little while. But if any of my guys in the chat here are my sysadmins, please tell them the inventory is so important to managing your systems. If your inventory is bad, everything else is bad. What do I mean by that, right? Let's say I was tasked with protecting 100 homes along a river, and I wanted to protect them from like high flood waters, and I wanted to protect them from mosquitoes, and I wanted to protect them from all this, but I only knew where 90 of the homes were. Would any of you tell me, like, just think about this for a second. Would any of you tell me that I knew how to secure all those? I may be the smartest guy around at securing homes. I may be really good at that. But I only know where 90 of the 100 are. Would any of you think that those other 10 are secure? It's the same thing. I tell you guys all the time, like this example of like RoboCop's this badass, and he's always pulling his gun out and shooting all these people, right? That's what RoboCop was, like a very violent comic that became a very violent show. If you ever watched the movie, or any of the movies. And my point is, he's the best cop around. But if you take him out of Detroit and drop him in L.A. and he doesn't have a map of the roads, what does it matter? He doesn't. Do you see what I'm saying? It doesn't help him any. My point is, your inventory is like crucial for everything else you do. If you ever do, so when I was in the Army, I got this badge on my first try called the Expert Infantryman's Badge. You can go look it up. Very hard for people. Some people will never get it their whole career. Only about 5% of the infantry wears it. And anyways, in the night land nav course, you start at a point and you have to just shoot an azimuth and get to a point with a distance and a direction. And then you have to do that like 6 times, and then you have to come back in. And if you mess that up, if you mess up at any point from your original point, you'll shift off and you'll just fail. You won't pass for that. You have to start all over and you won't have enough time. So my point in saying that is, like, having an inventory is the start of everything else, and everything else just goes bad without it. You guys have probably all seen like horror movies where stuff starts going bad at the beginning and you're like, no, you left all your bullets at home. No, you left your kid in the other car. Like, everything's bad and it just keeps getting worse. That's what happens if you don't have a good inventory. So please believe, for any of you guys that have also done this stuff, you can tell them it's the inventory is like the most important, crucial thing. I'm going to show you how to build an inventory. When you get to a company, you might have to map things out. And I was even joking around about this the other day. I think it was in our stream. Your boss is going to come in and he's going to be like, hey, it's your first day. You're the Linux engineer. And you're going to be like, yeah, I am the Linux engineer. Thanks for having me. You know, I'm going to get this stuff all cleaned up. And he's going to go, okay, well, make sure you're securing all those servers. And you're like, hey, by the way, do we have an inventory? And he's going to go like this. He's going to put his hand on your shoulder. He's going to be standing awkwardly behind you. He's going to go, oh, you. And he's just going to walk out. And that was your training. You're going to be like, do I have a wiki page? Oh, you. And he doesn't know. So he's just going to walk out instead of answering you. And that's your fucking train. This is now your responsibility. That was like the picking up of the mantle and putting either the robe or the crown on your head and saying, there you are. You know, Aragon, you've returned, and the what are they called? The stewards of Gondor are all done. Boromir, Faramir, we're gonna go live our lives. You can guard your own castle. We've been guarding it for 100, or was it like 1,000 years or something? Now you're back. Doesn't matter. All right. You know that the inventory is one of the most important parts of system administration. It just is. Okay. So you want to get it right. Set up and complete the different inventory challenges in this lab, and let's see if we can get this going. So the first one is make a file, vi root hosts, and then inside of there, we're going to make servers as the host group, and then control plane and node 01 as our items. And the solution is right here if you need help with it. Now, it says that the solution can be in INI or YAML format. Well, what the heck do I mean by that? So for that, we need to go to the old Ansible docs, Ansible, and let's say inventories. I know I haven't been on here in a while because it's not one of my recent things. And it says right here how to build your inventory. I'll link this to you guys. You need to make sure that you're in the right version of Ansible, which is 2.9. And okay, so since it's not going to have its own version on 2.9, that's fine. That means that this will still work. I'm going to link this to you guys. You can go here with me. It says how to build your inventory. You can do your inventory in INI format, like I just did, or you can use YAML. I don't like YAML nearly as much, and the reason is because I'm a simple guy that does things simply, and my stuff works well with all the simpleness I take to it. And you might say, Scott, what do you mean by that? Well, this right here is super, super easy for me to not click on. It's super easy for me to build this with a script or with like an API call, and then I pull it down. And I don't know if Pesto's around. Pesto might not be around, but I used to do this across all of our servers, and I'd hit satellite and pull down an inventory of all of our servers every morning. So I had them all grouped by their functions, and I knew what all my servers were that were in satellite every day. I would also do it to the cloud. I would go find all of our servers that were up in the cloud, well, in one provider, AWS typically, and I would pull them all down. And one of the things I like to do, this was one of my favorite things to do. All of our servers were in satellite, because when you're using Red Hat, and this is one of the nice things about Red Hat, everything's in satellite, because the things you want to update are the things they're going to charge you for. I don't know if you guys know this, but you can run Red Hat everywhere. You just don't get the updates for it. I don't know if you know that. You can run Red Hat professionally. You just don't get updates unless you pay them for it. So where I'm going with that is I would pull all of our satellite every morning, and I would compare that with a tool called Cherwell, which was Cherwel. I don't know who made that for this company I was working for at the time, but I would compare them. And what we found was, and this was me and Pico. If you guys ever talk to Pico about it, he'd probably tell you. He still works for him, so he might not be able to tell you as much as I would. But what would happen is we would compare them, and we'd find like, hey, 3 of them are over here in Cherwell, but they never got over in satellite. Or they're over in satellite. This is more common. They were registered properly in satellite, but they're not in Cherwell. Why? Oh, well, because whoever ran it and whoever did whatever their build process didn't do that last part that built it over here. So what would happen is we would check them every morning. We would see servers that were in satellite and not in Cherwell, servers that are in Cherwell and not in satellite, and we would compare those. And if we had everything clean, we'd go about our day. If something was busted, something was in, like I said, in that case, that was in satellite but not in Cherwell, then we would go tell the guys that built them. We go, hey, look, it looks like you guys built these 3 servers. And they're like, how did you know? And we're like, because we're on top of shit, right? Anyway, so we would show them, and we'd go, hey, can you fix that process? And then we'd never see it again, because they were good. They knew what they were doing too, right? These were architects and stuff, and they would get their stuff, they would build it, it would work, and then we would never see that problem again. All of our stuff would stay in sync, and if anything was ever out of sync, we knew every morning. And that's one of the reporting type things that I like to do. And okay, anyway, so let's keep going. Default groups. So there's ways that you can group things, and there's all this other stuff over here in the inventory. But I've got an inventory now. I did cat root hosts. If you make your inventory look like that, it'll work. And then I say, let's do a little bit of practice with it. Let's test with a little bit of modules that are out there. And we'll say Ansible servers -i root hosts. So Ansible tab. And we're going to hit the host group servers. So you see we're using this right here. We're going to say use the inventory file of root hosts. We have to tell it that. It's not going to automatically look in our directory for it. It's not going to do something ambiguous. You have to explicitly say where. Ansible will also look in a couple of specific spots if you tell it to, which are like the default places for hosts to have information. But this will work. And then we're going to use the module ping. Now, this ping module is not ICMP ping. It is not this. That's ICMP ping. That's operating at layer 3 of the OSI model. We're hitting just an IP address across. That's not what's happening here. What's happening here is Ansible is connecting to each of those servers. It's using the default SSH method, which in this case is it tries a local key that's down in root.ssh/ and then RSA underscore ID underscore RSA. That's what it was. Yeah. So that's our private key, and it's going to try to see if it could connect. We can prove all that. I can prove all the things I'm saying to you right now. I'm going to do it in a second. Once it connects, it's going to connect over SSH, and it's going to check for Python. It's going to get this little deprecation warning. And then it's going to push over the Python microcode for this module called ping. It's going to execute that over there and literally just print out ping pong. That's all it does. And then it's going to come back. So if you want to prove to yourself that what I just said is true, go back here to Ansible and add a -VVV. Just add a bunch of V's. Watch this blue blow up on your screen here. And you could then go back and look and say, okay, all the way up here at the top, Ansible gave us its configuration information first. Then it said I'm going to use etc Ansible ansible.cfg as a config file. You can override that with a local ansible.cfg or a hidden .ansible.cfg in your local directory if you want. Host declining, parsing root hosts, did not pass the verify method. Okay. Did not pass its verify file method. Okay, I don't know why it didn't do that, but it parsed root host inventory with the INI plugin. So it couldn't use any of the previous methods up here that it probably wanted to use first, which was probably YAML, right? So it got down to here and it verified that servers was those 2 servers or 30 servers or 1 million servers, whatever. And it tried to execute an SSH to connect to each of those servers. So it get SSH to control plane, which is itself. And then it SSH'd over here to node 01. So connection good. Then it tries to connect over again. Doesn't have any user, so it tries to connect again. Then it's going to come down here, and you're going to see it copy SH connection. So it goes in, it checks the Python, like I was saying. Checks for the interpreter Python, good. It comes down, and it starts to do an SSH again. It checks if it can do bin to run it. So it's doing a bunch of checks. And then it's going to push over the ping module, the ping.py, to that far server. Again, this is one of these things you probably will never have to dig into this. You will probably never look into this unless you're doing something really, really weird inside of Ansible. But if you do a few, 100,000 servers worth of runs, you're definitely going to run into some of this and have to look at it. But we just threw a bunch of V's in front of it, and we can see it's using SFTP to copy it over to the node, and then it's going to go execute over there. We're going to see all that happen, and then we're going to get more information about it as it invocated and called the ping pong, right? All right. So again, we don't need to know too much of that, but then we can throw that value out into a file. And then if we hit check, it'll say that we're all done. And now we're going to get to where we're going to add a little bit. So we cat root hosts, and we're going to add some inventory. We got new servers coming in, right? Maybe those new servers are getting provisioned by our ESXi, like in our VMware cluster. Maybe they're coming up in the cloud, but we've got to add this inventory. And we're going to go ahead and modify that file to look like this. So I'm going to vi root hosts, shift G O, and I'm going to say test env, right? And that's going to be control test. This is a server that doesn't exist. Type equals client. We can add them here now. I mean, before we ever use them, they can be part of our inventory before they're ever stood up. I can say node 01 test and the type is equal to server, maybe in this case. Maybe we're going to use that. That's a variable that we're adding now. And then I say prod env. If you guys are wondering, I'm looking right down there on the bottom left. This is where I'm looking over here. I can also copy this if I wanted to. But I'm typing it out. Control prod, that's also a server that doesn't exist yet. Type equals client. And then node 01 prod type equals server. And then from here I can say non-prod. And you know what? I think the underscore, I don't remember, one of these is not supposed to be used. I always forget. Client server variable are special, or are they just something you call? Cuddlingus, they're just variables. They're arbitrary. You can name your variables whatever you want, and if you never use that type, it just sits in the backpack that Ansible, because Ansible moves through from the top to the bottom of the playbook without control structures. If you don't give any control structures, it calls from top to bottom, and it just basically keeps adding variables that you use, that you call or name or whatever. It just keeps throwing them in it like its backpack as it goes along. And if you get down to the bottom and you haven't used them, it doesn't care. I'm just going to do non-prod like this. Children. That is a keyword. You do need it like that. Servers and test env. So this non-prod right here is going to contain servers and test env. This is now a definition of a host group that has two host groups inside of it. Okay. So I'm going to hit escape :WQ. And now that I've got this big root host file with properly formatted INI output, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to see, can Ansible parse that and read that information back to me? So I'm going to say, go ahead and list that out for me. And it's going to list that out for me in a format that some of you might be familiar with. Does anybody want to take a guess at what that format is by default right there? We've got all, non-prod, which is children here. Prod is these hosts, servers are these hosts, and test invent. No, it's not YAML, Robodon. Look at the curly brackets and the commas. It's JSON, right? That's definitely JSON right there. But if we want it to come out, there's two other methods. So remember, we can only put in INI or YAML, but we can get out JSON. So that's always been funny to me. We can only put in two things, but we can get out three things. Graph looks like this. I don't like graph. Some of you may be good at that and be like, oh, that looks easy to parse. Sure, fine. I don't like it. Then the last one is YAML. You could take this YAML output right here. This is why this one's so important. This YAML output you could go take and load up in a new server if you wanted to. You can't use this as an input, and you can't use this as an input. JSON and graph are not two input types. You can only input an INI or YAML, but that means that this could be sent to another server and used in place of the file that you already had. So this right here that you're looking at in YAML is this for Ansible's purposes. So something to think about, right? Like how does this, how do we want to do this, right? Cuddlingus, I don't know. I've never heard anybody, when we've talked on here, I think this is just a nice formatting. I think, by the way, I think this would be perfectly fine right here to throw up in a PowerPoint. Like, I think that would look fine in a PowerPoint. I think all the project managers and managers would be like, oh, look at those cool little @ signs. That probably means something. But for us, this wouldn't be great. Plus, a lot of these are really only working because we're only working with about 8 nodes. So you can already see with JSON that's too big. And as you start to get into thousands of nodes, these are going to be unwieldy. So you want to think about, I like to generate them as we go, and maybe I can have us do that in one of the labs where I have us generate them from a list. That would be kind of a fun thing. All right, so anyway, so then we hit check on that, and it says, look at you learning Ansible. You solved this challenge and built an inventory file. So in our inventory file, input is only, what are our two input types? INI or YAML. Output is default to JSON. or we can use graph, or we can use YAML. So things are going to map that way, right? We could put the commands we used if we wanted, so we can clear the screen and say history and go, those are all the commands I did to do all the different things, right? So when you do these labs, if you need to, grab those commands out and go throw them over in your notes, right? This is all for you guys to get more hands-on experience on what's kind of going on, right? So those are the first two labs. First one, install Ansible. Simple. You guys can do that in your home labs. The second one, get that host file right. Get the host file to look the way that you need. In my home lab, here's my host file in my home lab, right? But then I can't hit the Rocky boxes directly. I have to actually go over to like my Werewolf server. And in here, we've got all of our... I don't know what the hell is going on there. What? That's weird. Could have sworn I had them all in here. Maybe not. Well, Well, apparently I'm insane. Oh, what the?
Oh my god, guys. You guys gotta stop me.
This is on one of the Rocky servers. The Rocky servers are the what? Yeah, here it is. So there's all my Rocky servers. So if I just say Ansible Rocky -m shell -a uptime, I can hit all the servers and see their uptime. What? Oh, it's servers. My bad. That'll hit all the servers in the environment, right? Boom. Tell me their uptime. Looks like people have been using them because they've been rebooted in the last 5 days, and I haven't been in there. Somebody rebooted one of them. Rocky 12 was rebooted a day ago. When you guys use your labs and then you reboot them, they reset to a clean environment. Everything in there is clean. I didn't even ask anybody how the labs were going last week or this week, but I assume they're working pretty well. For admin course, are we going to be able to hit the other servers in the Rocky lab with Ansible? Cunnilingus, no, not right now, because other people will be using them. But I have a plan for some of the stuff that we're going to do with Ansible, for some of the configurations and stuff. But I gotta retool a few of the servers in the lab for it to work. But I figure I got a couple more weeks for that, so I'm gonna let future Scott worry about that. Not right now, Scott. All right. So that's kind of my quick rundown on the first two parts of Ansible, right? The first two things you need to do is, for any tool, get the tool working on your machine, get the inventory set up and set up, if you want to think of it like the environment of what the thing's going to do. So, yeah. Well, Cunnilingus, that's the goal, right? Get you guys doing this stuff, get you feeling comfortable so that you can go out. And then one of the guys was talking, like, for the people that finished the thing, I'm probably going to set up access to my home lab for you guys to be able to get in, and I'm probably going to have some of you take turns being like the manager of the labs. Like some of you are going to have access as root, and you're going to be the one that can go in and reset things and fix things and track things that are not working, because I think that will also maybe garner some kind of valuable skills for you, you know. People are going to give you like, oh, this server's acting funny, and you're going to be like, I don't know what that means. Is it telling jokes? Like, help me out a little bit. Tell me by which measure you know something is wrong, right? Because all I have is this black background with green and white letters. That's all I've got to configure this system and check things out. So All right. What was I going to show you guys? Oh, I've got some other good news. I figured out some stuff in the home lab. And I'm going to start building out some things that I had not set up before in the home lab. So that's going to be good. I'm probably going to be hosting one of our guys, Treasure. I'm going to be hosting some stuff internal that he built. We're using Kubernetes. He's using Kubernetes with Go, and I mostly use I mostly just stand up Kubernetes as people need me to. But I'm going to be running some Python stuff, and then he's going to be using Go, and we're going to integrate some stuff for some of the pages. I know people want to check out when they're done with the Linux Systems Administration course. You want to be able to tell somebody, hey, you can go here and actually verify my link, and we've got that all working. But he's got most of that working. I'm going to implement it in the infrastructure. But we're gonna get that going, so that'll be cool. I think people will like that, because then you'll not only have your little certificate that shows you did the whole Linux system administration, but then you'll also have it with, you can send somebody, hey, this is the validation link if you want it. So I think that'll be pretty cool. And then what else do I got? Yeah, let's check. We're almost 3,000 people in Discord. I think I was telling you guys about that earlier. We're at... It says 2960 here. That's because I haven't reloaded it. It's weird. It doesn't reload. I think my phone knows. Hold on. Let me look on my phone real quick. The phone says... Hold on. The phone says that we are at... That says 2980. So we need 20 more people. We're probably not going to do anything big for 3,000, but we'll definitely do something big for, like... It says 2983 right now, so we're getting there. By the way, if you guys join the Discord, the bot sits there and... I don't know, the bot's not as bad as it used to be. It used to talk a lot more trash. Some of you guys remember that. That bot used to be getting in there. Robodom, yeah, we'll set up pager duty if you guys want. It'll page people, yeah. Yeah. We'll definitely do that. But yeah, this is like... Look, and... For people that haven't been in the course, I'll give you like a quick look at like what we've been doing, right? And one thing, so you guys know too, this is, let me show you guys something. For people that have been doing the course, you know this is true. But I'm going to show you guys something here. I'm going to pull up last week's talk, right? So here's last week's talk, right? And I told you guys, I don't care if you know who I am, right? This last week's talk, did it, we went through it. One thing I'm really trying to do as we do this, right? Like as you get into here and we're talking operations bridge and this, and then there's a bunch of stuff about operating a system, and then like incidents and this stuff. What I'm trying to show you guys here is not just this, right? Like we can do this stuff on stream whenever we want, like hands-on, get our hands on the keyboard. This is very valuable. This is probably where you make the most money as it goes, is like this is where you're doing your job. You got to know the command line stuff. But when we meet on Saturdays, because it's on Saturdays that we meet and do this, I try to give you guys like more of the running the operations piece. You still got to go spend time at the command line, guys. This is how we get better at Linux, right? But I'm trying to show you guys like what we're doing, and you know how these different pieces work, and how to get your incident capabilities better by going and looking at these different things and adding these things to your repertoire and all those things, right? Spelled repertoire right. So anyways, there's that when we talk about the Linux group and then those free course, it's not just doing this. We can do this anytime we want. We're doing it right now. We can just get our hands on the keyboard and type stuff. But I'm trying to, in that course, get you guys ready for like taking the mantle of being the person in charge of the system for that block of time that you're there every day, because that's a lot of responsibility. Like I'm sitting around ready to fix anything in my system that's busted at any time. That means I need to understand my system, I need to know my tools well, and I need to know how to deal with incidents and reporting and all that kind of stuff. So there's all these other kind of, like, I don't want to call them soft skills, because they are hard skills that you have to learn, but they're not directly related to like just being on a command line, which again, this is very important. You got to know your command line stuff. All right. So let's keep going. I got a little more time. I think the wife's cutting one of her friend's hair. But before we do that, let me go pull up Ranger Cam. I'm gonna leave this open for a second. I'm gonna take a real quick break. How's Ranger doing? Hold on. I'm gonna put my hourglass up. Yeah, we're doing Ansible today. What? Oh shoot, that was the wrong thing. Hold on. Let me pull up hourglass. There we go. There's my little hourglass. All right. I'm gonna take a 7-minute break. And think about Ansible. All right, I'll be back, guys. Yeah, the alpaca will be doing more Ansible in just a minute. Robodom's letting people know about YouTube. Nice. All right, break and think about Ansible. That's what you guys should be doing right now. Also, I got a lot of systems to add to my monitoring that I have not done yet. Yeah, the alpaca. I did Ansible for maintaining about. So when I was the platform lead for a big insurance company, I had between 1,500 and 2,000 Linux boxes at any given time, and between 3,000 and 3,500 Windows machines at any given time. And I used it for Windows administration and setup. Yeah, because Ansible is really easy to call PowerShell scripts with. So I would deploy and run PowerShell scripts against boxes from Ansible. Super easy. And I just used WinRM, which was 5895, one of those two port numbers. What is it? 5985 and 5986. That's what it is. 5986 is when you're using certificates. 5985, that's what it is. Yep, and that's one of the modules. That's an easy to load module and run inside your environment. So, yep, that's true. So, I didn't do a lot of configuration with it after. I let them do that mostly on the. So my Windows guys were mostly. Yeah, I run AWX in the home lab, Alpaca. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen that, I run a really old version of it. I got a home box running AWX, and it'll. Oh, it's not running very fast apparently. Yeah, I think AWX is great, um, but they're on the Red Hat side. They don't use AWX anymore. They call it Ansible Automation Platform, right? But that's still. So yeah, this real quick. Yeah, I think AWX is good to understand though, because you can tie people into it, give them access. I have a really old version here, but it still works. Runs just fine in my environment. Does all my SSH calls, does all the things it needs to. Yeah. Looks like things are working fine in my environment for right now. Yep. Yep. This is actually how I deploy when I give you guys access to the Professional Linux Users Group, which is this lab environment right here, and you guys come in through this Jump 01 streamer, streamer 1, and then you get into the Rocky environments. This is how I set it up is with Ansible. I set it up and tear it all down with Ansible, so pretty easy to do, pretty easy to set up. It works pretty well. Yeah, I'm yawning. Tired over here. Long day of working. Long day of getting into different stuff in the environments. I need to keep cleaning up my other when I'm done here, I've got a college thing to post, and then I've got probably a few more hours worth of work on another thing that I was doing. We'll give the break. We'll give people time to come back. We'll do a little more Ansible. A little bit more Ansible stuff. Oh, somebody's been trying to come in on root quite a bit. So, since sometime today, somebody's been trying to come on root a lot. And that is so much that I wonder. One, you're never getting in on root, right? Like, you can't get in on root on my box. And two, I wonder if my... what if fail the band's running? That makes sense. Look, fail the band's dead. Why did fail the band die though? This is actually an important thing, guys. Somebody's been hammering my system quite a bit since about an hour ago, and fail the band has failed on my system. I don't know why it's failed. But it looks like it failed a while ago. So we need to systemctl start fail to ban, so that person can be locked out forever. Says it's running. df-h, let's make sure nothing's filled up. None of my directories are filled up on my server here. And what I should see right here is this failed password from this 1.194.166.30 after alright, so this just crashed on the this crashed 10 days ago. So it hasn't been able to read since the... So this is why this guys, this is why I gotta check my monitoring more. I haven't looked at this monitoring. This thing crashed. So all the failed login attempts, it wasn't feeding any of that over to me. And that's interesting because so I have something wrong on these alert or on these what they have done is they've tried to keep an average for me, and I don't want that. I want it to just give me the most hold on. I don't want that. I want it to give me only unit, linear, short, linear. It's trying to kind of like average them for me, and I don't want that. I only want the most recent. Lines, borders, Series override. So I'm aggregating on the function of mean. So that's my fault. I need to fix this to not be a mean, because look at what was happening. Look at this. It's saying, okay, over the last 90 days, I'll just go ahead and calculate the mean. And the mean was getting lower because this has all been zero. This has all been zero this whole time. This whole window should be zero. It shouldn't be a mean approaching zero. Does that kind of make sense? So that was busted. Now we got to check to make sure that fail to ban is running, which it is. And now we should see these people starting to in the last 6 hours fail. But now I want to go back and I want to look on this for the last 30 days and see if there's a spike in this, because that's what's interesting to me is, yeah, see, look at that spike. That's when it crashed. And that was when people could have nearly unfettered attempts to get in. You see that? All the way, what's that high peak right there? This is one of the cool things about this is I should be able to come in here and see, yeah, somebody in a 1 hour window tried to hit my server about 1.3k times. Yeah, almost 1.4. So almost, that's a lot, right? You only have 3,000. Yeah, what is it? You only have yeah, you only have 3,600 seconds in a minute or in an hour, and at 3,600, yeah. And if you have that many coming in, it's one every 3 seconds or so, right there. Maybe a little under that, a little over that rather. My point is, like, if you look at that, that's like all these people. Root's never going to get in my environment. Root's locked out at SSH, but you still don't want people to just be able to bang on that forever. And I'd be willing to bet that this person had banged on this for, so 1.194.166.30. How long was this person trying to get into my environment here? And this says for the last 30 days. This person's been just sitting here trying to hammer away at this box for who knows how far back. Every few seconds as far back as they could go, right? And I can look, if I want, I can look just on the 30th. On the 30th. Now I can look just on the first to second. Is that when they found me and started mapping my stuff? No. When did they start? The 3rd through maybe this last Saturday? No. Were they? When did they get on here? Or when did they try to get on here? They haven't got on here. Rendering 900 more rows. All right, so we know they were on today. So let's go back a day. They were not trying to get on. So this person, at least from what we're seeing here, is just only on for today. They are this person here. That was scanning the entirety of the time that I've been talking. They've been trying to get into this box right here, my jump box behind me. They have. I could do a query directly against Loki and aggregate them and see how many there were. But suffice it to say, it was many thousands of them trying to get in. So, but now fail to ban's back running. I need to. Do I have a fail to ban? Let's go look at the fail to ban log. So view fail to ban log here. We got to see if we see when this failed. So Shift G, this is only so this is interesting. This is Yeah, somebody's trying to get in and turn off. So failed to ban is blocking all kinds of shit. Alright, well, back to blocking people. And actually, it failed on the first. That's an interesting thing to me. That's the first time failed to ban's ever failed in my environment, by the way. So I'm going to need to watch that. Also, I'm probably going to make a service that restarts it. Get out of there. Crap. So... see if we can see when it failed. That is interesting. Alright, there was a rollover on failed to ban, that's fine. But then down here, this is where it shut down. So. That's fine. I don't really see any fuckery going on right now, so it's probably fine. But, just to make sure. Make sure there's nothing. I don't know what that thing was doing. I don't know what this one's doing. So it's interesting that those are coming up over and over again. And it's trying to allow a certain port. That was interesting. So I definitely don't have anything. Make sure that didn't break something in my environment. Okay, good. Make sure that environment's still running. Yeah. No, my systems would spin up way higher if they had illegal crypto going on right now. So that's not that big of a deal. No, what happened? So these two processes that look like they're doing something weird their parent process ID is actually the failed to ban server that I just started, so that's fine. They're weird looking processes because they're trying to allow something to. It looks like they're like. It looks like there's actually a block that's happening. I think that's what's happening there. But the point is, failed to ban's doing that, so I'm okay with that. It just looked kind of weird when I was seeing it up here by itself. And I did turn off the firewall the other day for some unrelated reason. I was testing something. So now that's going to be back there. So really to test everything out, make sure our environment's back to being secure, we should be able to come back over here to security. And instead of the last 90 days, let's refresh this. And we should start seeing, let's go for the last 3 hours. Now we're starting to see things getting banned again. People have banned themselves out, and we're already back up to oh, so see, since it's an average, I need to fix this one. This one's an average. It's going to go back up to the 40,000 that it was, but it's going to do it really slow. That's not, I need to fix that because that's not right. But for right now, our lab is back in a protected state, let's say. We're going to see those start going back up. So that's good. All right. What's our time at? We're at about an hour 40. For people that are in our Discord already and doing the Linux Systems Administration, remember we're starting week 5 on Saturday, so time keeps on slipping. Start working on stuff if you aren't. I haven't seen, I think I've only seen like 3 or 4 people post for Unit 4. So if you're doing it, do the posts. You got to keep up on those. You got to be looking at the stuff, right? It's all free. It doesn't cost you anything, but it does cost you time. And I think you guys are seeing that there's like a lot of time that goes into like studying and researching and learning about these kind of things. So we have, what are we at? Like 190 something people say they're doing it. Let's go back here to Prolog. We're at 194. I'd like to see it hit 200. The most people we've ever had in a Discord channel was 100. Was 90 something. We had 90 something the first day. Then we had 50. Then we had like 48, and I think the other day we had like 43. So we're slowly dropping off, guys. Like on people that are coming. We got 194 people that say they're interested. Doesn't cost you anything. It's just if it's your time, right? It's probably what some of you guys here have done it or have been working on it. I'd estimate it's somewhere between 4 and 6 hours a week worth of work if you're actually going to do all the things. But I mean, you know, if you tell me, hey, I want to be a Linux engineer, then, or I want to be a Linux systems administrator and I want to run these systems, I'm going to tell you, you can do it, but you got to get out there and start working on it, right? You got to get in there and start building this stuff up and getting this stuff to work the way you want. Yeah. Here's all the new welcomes. And the bot welcomes you. And you can ask the bot questions if you want. Yeah, it looks like more people are doing discussions. So that's good. All you got to do, you know, you join the beginners start here. There's a bunch of stuff there. And then there's Prolog projects that have all of that stuff as well. We were doing the Prolog stuff the other day, and we were doing the some of the monitoring stuff. That monitoring stuff's all out there for you guys to work on if you want. You guys can do, there's a project. So there's a real big project in the in this. It's called the Prolog project, and it's going to be actually building out and deploying and getting in stuff. And if you want to say, if you say, hey Scott, like what's the Linux Systems Administrator course? This is what it looks like right here. These are the technical things that I'm doing each week, but then like I said, where we're talking through things, I'm doing more the system side of it. So like the first 4 weeks were, you know, they were all these things: getting lab access, essential tools, storage, operating systems, and now we're going to start doing security stuff. But as we're doing the technical security stuff, you guys are going to be doing those labs on your own. I'm going to be showing you guys how to secure the systems, and I'm going to show you guys the processes around it and talk about those kind of things. And I'm going to talk about like the patching, how we patch systems and how we do our lifecycle management of patching of servers and those kind of things. I've spent a lot of my career patching and updating servers and building new ones in place too, for that matter, because sometimes you can't patch a RHEL 5 or a 6 or a 7 box anymore. RHEL 7's end of life already. RHEL 8 is like the, you know, but you should be up on 9 at least right now for the most part if you're building new stuff. but maybe you're still building 8 boxes, and then you need to move up to 9 eventually or whatever. So there's a lot to that. How we keep our servers current. Do we treat our servers like cattle or pets, as they say? When we get done through the security stuff, we're going to do some scripting, and we're going to do some Docker and Kubernetes stuff. And we're going to monitor systems, so that'll be, some of you have seen a lot of that. And then we're going to go into, even though it's like engineering and system hardening, which system hardening kind of goes back to security, but we'll do it a little more in depth. Maybe I need to move this around. But anyways, and then we'll do some Ansible automation, which kind of goes with scripting. So we'll be hitting stuff over and over again, and then we'll do a lot of troubleshooting, and then incident response. We'll actually do like a call out and work through some of that stuff as well. So again, the course is completely free. We meet on Saturdays. You guys also have a recording up in YouTube. So there's all that for you as well. What else? Let me think. Yeah, that's pretty much it. All right. Go find somebody to raid. I'm pretty tired. Make sure you guys are, your posts will only show up for you guys like this, though, once you've commented in them, just so you know. These go away when nobody's using them, like after a week or something. Most of that stuff closes up, so. Also, did I miss? No, okay, good. Let's see. Yeah, keep going through. Look, the labs are great, and I think hands-on is probably your most important low-level fundamental thing in any systems world. There's so many labs out here, but those courses are designed to help you get the job, right? To land the job and get the stuff working. I got a spam call at 8 something at night. That's fun. All right. Yeah, let's go find somebody to raid then. Let's go find somebody to raid on the Twitch side of things. Who is doing stuff right now? Who that I'm following is on right now? No. Who is in our category and doing stuff right now? No one. All right. Well then, what we'll do is we'll just call it here. You guys are welcome to hang out again down in the Discord. A lot of guys there's been a lot of study groups going, like 8 to 10 people down there just working the last few weeks on stuff. And I think that's like the purpose of Discord. Get down there, work on stuff. It doesn't cost you anything. And Discord's not so bad. Our Discord's not so bad. But Discord in general is not as bad as like Reddit and some of those other, places full of scumbag and villainy. But all right, I'm going to drop off here. I will talk to you guys later. Take care.